The 30-Day Shadow Integration Challenge. While understanding the shadow in theory is powerful, the journey from theory to transformation lies in consistent practice, not just understanding. What if the difference between intellectual awareness and genuine integration was simply 15 minutes a day for 1 month? The 30-Day Shadow Integration Challenge creates a structured container for this powerful work, designed to turn psychological concepts into lived experience. When we approach shadow work, our first obstacle is often ourselves. That initial resistance signals you're approaching meaningful material. The mind naturally protects established patterns, even unhelpful ones. You might find yourself suddenly remembering urgent tasks, feeling inexplicable fatigue, or experiencing skepticism about whether this work is necessary. These reactions are perfectly normal and indicate you're on the right track. The challenge breaks down the intimidating process of shadow integration into small, manageable daily practices. This approach aligns with behavioral psychology research on habit formation. Studies show that consistent 15-minute daily practices are more effective than sporadic longer sessions. By committing to just 15 minutes each day, you reduce the initial resistance while creating enough consistency for real transformation. The challenge progresses through 3 distinct phases. Phase 1. Awareness, days 1 to 10. Focus on identifying emotional triggers, tracking projection patterns, and noticing moments of resistance or self-sabotage. You'll keep a trigger journal, documenting situations where your emotional response feels disproportionate to the event itself. This phase creates a foundation of self-observation without immediate pressure to change. Phase 2. Exploration, days 11 to 20. Dive deeper into the material you've identified through structured journaling prompts, creative exercises, and reflection on projection patterns. Explore recurring triggers through artistic expression or write dialogues with projected qualities. This phase invites curiosity about the origins of your shadow material and what needs they might be trying to meet. Phase 3. Integration, days 21 to 30. Practice new responses to old triggers, reclaim projections, and celebrate small victories. This includes daily affirmations acknowledging both light and shadow aspects, practicing uncomfortable emotions in small doses, or engaging with creative work that expresses previously disowned parts of yourself. Sarah, a participant in a recent challenge, experienced a breakthrough during the exploration phase. While journaling about her frequent irritation with a boastful colleague, she suddenly recognized her own disowned desire for recognition. This simple realization, captured in just 15 minutes of reflection, transformed her workplace interactions and unlocked creative ambitions she'd been suppressing for years. Creating appropriate containment and support during this challenge is crucial. Establish boundaries around when and where you'll engage with this material by setting a specific time each day and using a dedicated private journal. Support mechanisms are equally important. Identify at least one trusted friend who can provide support if difficult emotions arise. Consider joining online communities focused on personal growth, or work with a therapist or coach for professional guidance, especially for challenging material. As you progress through the 30 days, expect an emotional journey. The initial phase often involves resistance and emotional release as you confront material living in the shadows. The middle phase brings patterns into focus, revealing connections between triggers and recurring projection themes. By the final phase, many participants report expanded emotional capacity, greater self-compassion, and reduced reactivity to former triggers. Relationships often improve as projection decreases and interactions become more authentic. The challenge should be customizable rather than rigid. If a particular exercise feels overwhelming, modify your approach, perhaps scaling back the intensity or substituting a more nurturing practice that day. The key is consistency rather than perfection. The transformative potential of 30 days of practice is remarkable. This time frame establishes new neural pathways while remaining achievable. The combination of awareness practices, structured reflection, and creative expression provides multiple entry points to shadow material. What makes this challenge particularly effective is its integrated approach, combining proven techniques rather than relying on any single method. The alternation between awareness, exploration, and integration practices creates a rhythm that supports sustainable transformation. This isn't about forcing breakthrough moments, but building consistent practice that allows natural integration to unfold. The integrated life, your future self. As the practice unfolds into a natural rhythm, a question emerges that few dare to ask themselves. What happens when the war within you finally ends? The integrated life, waiting on the other side of shadow work, represents an entirely different way of existing in the world. This is what Jung called individuation, perhaps the most misunderstood yet powerful concept in all of psychology. Imagine waking up each morning with a profound sense that every part of you belongs, even those aspects you once desperately tried to hide or eliminate. When you're no longer divided against yourself, energy previously spent maintaining internal barriers becomes available for creation, connection, and purposeful living. This is the lived experience of countless individuals who've walked the path of shadow integration. The internal landscape transforms from a battlefield to a symphony where every instrument, even those playing in minor keys, contributes to the whole composition. In this integrated state, authenticity becomes your natural mode of being rather than something you strive for. The constant performance of trying to appear better, smarter, or more put together than you feel falls away. You find yourself speaking more truthfully, choosing more intentionally, and moving through the world with a quiet confidence that needs no external validation. This reflects a fundamental comfort with your humanity, including your limitations and contradictions. Individuation exists as a dynamic, ongoing process that unfolds throughout your entire life. Each new life stage brings fresh shadow material to work with, and the process of integration continues to deepen. The difference is that once you've experienced true integration, you recognize the process and no longer fear the discomfort it sometimes brings. Your emotional landscape undergoes a remarkable transformation. Emotions that once felt threatening, rage, grief, jealousy, desire, become valuable messengers rather than enemies. You develop emotional agility, the capacity to experience feelings fully without being controlled by them. This represents engagement with a new level of consciousness. When projection diminishes, your relationships evolve dramatically. You see people more clearly for who they actually are rather than as screens for your projected material. Conversations gain depth because you're truly present rather than defending against unconscious threats. Even conflicts transform into opportunities for growth rather than repetitive patterns driven by old wounds. The creative impact of shadow integration manifests powerfully. Energy previously used for repression becomes creative fuel. Many find their artistic expression gains depth, originality, and emotional resonance. A musician who integrates anger discovers new dimensions in their compositions. A writer who acknowledges vulnerability suddenly accesses more authentic character development. The shadow, once integrated, becomes a wellspring of creative power. This integration process extends beyond the personal realm into the spiritual dimension of existence. By aligning with your deeper self, you open to the numinous, that sacred dimension that gives life ultimate meaning. This doesn't require religious belief, but rather an openness to the deeper currents flowing through human experience. As you integrate your shadow, you naturally reconnect with aspects our culture has devalued, including qualities like care, compassion, and sustainability. This fosters a more balanced way of engaging with others and the world around you. Individuation transforms through revealing who you already are, not creating someone different. Your unique constellation of qualities, talents, wounds, and potentials comes into clearer focus. You stop forcing yourself into predetermined molds and allow your authentic self to emerge. This process reveals dormant talents and unexpected gifts previously hidden in shadow. Cultivating wholeness leads to more fulfilling relationships. Your connections transform into catalysts for continued growth rather than arenas for unconscious acting out. The integration becomes the bedrock of genuine resilience. Not forced positivity, but the ability to face challenges with all your resources available. Self-acceptance emerges in a new way. Rather than conditional acceptance, I'll like myself when I achieve X, you develop the capacity to embrace both vulnerabilities and strengths. This enables you to confront life's uncertainties with purpose and confidence. Not because you know all outcomes, but because you trust your capacity to respond authentically to whatever arises. The journey ultimately reveals that the very aspects you've been hiding contain the key to living purposefully. Shadow work unveils dormant passions that may have been overshadowed by adaptive strategies or conditioning. As these emerge and integrate, you naturally move toward a meaningful existence aligned with your unique gifts. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast mountain range at sunrise. The shadows that once seemed threatening now reveal the depth and contour of the landscape. You recognize that without these shadows, the beauty before you wouldn't exist. This is the promise of integration, not the absence of darkness, but the harmonious dance of light and shadow creating a life of depth, meaning, and authentic presence. The journey continues, but now you move forward as a guide rather than a stranger to yourself. As we come to the end of our exploration, I'm reminded of Carl Jung's profound insight. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This journey speaks to our core. Shadow work embraces all parts of yourself as essential components of your true identity. Your shadow holds your unrealized potential. By integrating these aspects, you begin the authentic path toward wholeness. Join us now on this transformative journey through our 30-day Shadow Work Challenge. Download the journal prompts in the description and connect with our community. Together, we'll transform shadow